Welcome, everyone. We are now live for the Boss Ladies legendary Valentine's Day special. Can we give it up for Simone Lord, Dr. Liz, and Georgina? So honoured to have you ladies with us so early on a Sunday. Big thank you. How you all doing today?
Yeah, awesome. Very
Pretty
awesome.
good.
I think it's already like 30 degrees or something like that on the Gold Coast. So,
Well, now I just want to say it's a big pleasure having these amazing ladies with us. We've got a special one where we're going to, usually a lot of our boss ladies summits take a darker turn, but this time we're going to take a hot and spicy turn. And we're going to talk about love and Valentine's Day. Now, if you are listening, smash that like, share, and comment. And also to connect with these ladies on Legendary LinkedIn. And by the way, whether you're single, in a relationship, or whatever, you are going to have a great one. Now, I'm just going to kick things off. And I want to ask the first question to kick off a day. And I'm going to start with Dr. Liz, then we're going to bounce to Simone and Georgina. Dr. Liz, question number one for you. What does love mean to you, Dr. Liz?
whoa. Love is definitely a very high value to me, but I think it's all encompassing. So when I say love, it's not perhaps just the romantic love, it's the love we feel for our family, for our kids, and even friends and colleagues. So I think growing up, love was something we didn't really talk much about, like it was felt in my household, but I've never actually ever heard my parents say, I love you. I'm the opposite. I tell my kids, very often I love them and they're just like, but I think as I get older, like I really appreciate it. I think it's an amazing emotion and value. And yeah, I think more for it. We should be less about holding it tightly and actually look at a more inclusive and powerful love.
Well, we're all about inclusion around here, aren't we, Dr. Liz? We love inclusion.
Absolutely.
Speaking of inclusion, Simone Lord, we love Simone Lord. And Simone, question to you. What does love mean to you, amazing Simone Lord?
Yeah, I think in so many ways I echo what Dr. Liz said. And it's interesting how we perceive it based on our childhood and what our parents did as well. So I was very much the same. I grew up in a very loving household. Affection was something we showed quite often, but my husband wasn't. So that's been really interesting as we came together to manage the fact that he was not used to people saying, I love you, or kissing as a greeting or hugging as a greeting. So I'm sure we'll get into that further down. But I think also love means to me, it's a commitment of care, of just really being your authentic self and not having any barriers or boundaries about that, being vulnerable to step into it and to give it and to receive it.
Well, we'll come back to your husband later. I mean, he's an elite soldier, so I don't blame him, right? So there we go. But don't worry, we're going to deal with your husband later, Simone. Don't you worry about that. We'll come back to that one. And just a few shout outs. We've got John Towson with us. John, we love you, John. Amanda Dunn made a great share. For me, love is respect and kindness for self and others. Absolutely true. We've got Kemi Adekumbi with us. Hello, we love you, Kemi. And Kemi actually tunes in via YouTube, which is cool. Now, speaking of love, we of course have to bounce over to Georgina Orchard, who embodies love. And I'm sure she'll have no trouble giving us a working definition. Georgina, tell us what love means to you.
I agree with Dr. Liz and Simone Lord. I guess I grew up in a house where it was very varied. My dad was very kind of the hard one. So I was terrified of him, but my mum was just so soft and gentle, and that encompassed for me. It was like what it was to love someone. And then I guess as I read later, it was you're in love, you love something, you love what you do, but I guess there's kind of just loving, and then there's the kind of passionate love, and then there's the in love, isn't there? And being in love, and we all know, we probably all experience being in love as a young adult or a teenager, and then having that broken and what it felt like, that sort of intense in love kind of experience. And having been in and out of love over a few years, I Yeah, it's all about trust and integrity and respect. And it's interesting because I've got a one that likes cuddles and one child that doesn't like cuddles and is kind of like, yeah, get off me, sort of stuff. So as a mum, that's quite an experience. Yeah, so that's kind of what love is for me.
Oh my God, I love it. Such great answers to kick things off. You've just tuned in, smash that like, share, and comment. Connect with these amazing ladies on Legendary LinkedIn. Now, I was just going to mention as well, I'm going to go to the next question. This one I've been thinking a lot about, right? Is why do we, and we've all done it, why do we fall in love with the bad boys or the bad girls? Where does all that come from? What's this whole bad boy, bad girl thing? We've all done it, right? I certainly have. But Dr. Liz, why do we fall in love with bad boys or bad girls? Why do we do that? What's all that about, Dr. Liz?
I don't know. It's fascinating, isn't it? And, you look back at high school or, teens, and then the ones who you thought were just lovely or would be good friends, down the track, you look back now and you think, oh, they would have been great husband material. And yet, some of the bad boys or whatever, you're like, what on earth was I thinking? I don't know. To be honest, I actually blame a lot on Disney and the whole, Cinderella and whatever.
Yeah.
Although I like to
Disney.
say that at least they're turning that around a bit now. I like some of the more modern Disney things that they've got where, there's a bit more, women power and they're not just waiting to get rescued. But I actually think that combined, so I, as you can probably gather, was an avid reader. I definitely was a bit of a nerd and loved reading. So I think, in all the romance books, it was always, the troubled guy on his motorcycle or, someone who had the hard upbringing that, couldn't share his emotions and it was up to the woman to try and break through all of that. So I don't know. I think that coupled with the fact that, I don't know, sometimes it's just all a bit exciting and hormones and all of that. Plus, I guess what you're attracted to as a teenager perhaps is not necessarily what you might be looking for in terms of marriage or father of a kitty material.
It's funny you say that, actually. And big shout out to wonderful Lassie, who'll be watching the recording later. We love you, Lassie. Before I met her, I actually have dated many bad girls in my time. And before I met Lassie, I was actually single by choice, probably for a good 6 months at least, right? And I was actually saying no to people because I was looking for marriage material. It's funny you say that, Dr. Liz. When you switch into marriage mode, your tastes totally diverge, don't they, Dr. Liz?
Well, I think so, because it comes back to like what we were saying before around love. And when you're thinking honesty, integrity, commitment, they're not always the things that the bad boys or girls are known for. So, yeah, but it's good. But I agree. Yeah. Lovely Lassie. Big shout out.
Very good Lassie too. And we've got Yasmin V with us. We love you, Yasmin. And we got John Telson. Like, repost, comment, friends. So good to have you with us. Now, Simone Lord, tell us all about this bad boy, bad girl thing. You strike me, you might have been with a bad boy or two. I can just tell. Tell
yeah.
Us,
everyone had those regrets. I think we've all had those people that we think, what were we even thinking? I don't really agree with the saying that opposites attract. I don't know where that originated from, but I'm not really into that. I personally think it's something that we're seeking validation from our own ego, whether it's a person or a role model in our life that is lacking. Those are the things that attract us to people in that kind of way. So, yeah, I think we all just learn lessons from it, and it's part of the journey, right? It just makes for some interesting stories, and we're probably thankful if we got out of those situations fairly quickly and it didn't have a big detriment to our relationship life cycle.
And I was going to say as well, and I certainly have. Have you been the bad girl? Have you been the dark forces? Has it been you, or because I've been the bad boy at times? So I have to be honest with you all.
In terms of a relationship, I don't think so. I have some really strong morals and values around that. Especially, I grew up with a very close family friend whose relationship was subjected to cheating and distrust. And that is something that really stuck with me quite profoundly, that it always was just very clear that that's never a negotiable from any reason. Even if I found out that a friend was misleading to their partner, I would be on the forefront of saying, you tell them now or I will. So it's something I've never tolerated. And yeah, just always had a very strong opinion and value on that.
It's funny you say that. And I actually was doing a reflection on this. Years ago when I used to be in my 20s, believe it or not. I know you don't believe me, but I used to be in my 20s. Truth. And I dated this 22-year-old Canadian backpacker by the name of Roxy, right? So there's your and there you go. So we can see where this is all going, right? Now she was the epitome of bad party girl, right? She was a complete alcohol and everything. And what was interesting, I remember one time, surprise, she cheated on me, but I didn't care. I just said, oh, well, bye. And then she begged for me to stay with her. And that's a bit I find interesting when someone cheats and you say, oh, I don't care, by the way. I was like, yeah, whatever. I kind of expected you to, right? I didn't expect anything less from you. They kind of want to stick around. Why do you think they do that, Simone? Why do they cheat, then they ask to stick around? What's going on with these weirdos, Simone?
Oh, it's probably just in hindsight, you see that you've just potentially ruined a successful relationship or someone that you really do want to be with for a longer term. If you think, oh, I wasn't taking this seriously, now I've made these choices, and perhaps I regret that. So I would assume it would be something like that.
Oh, Simone, we love you. Absolutely amazing. And we've got David Trinks from Boston, Massachusetts. Good seeing you, David. John Towson, loves Simone. We do. She's amazing. If you just come in, like, repost, comment. And also, a bit of trivia for you. I'm not allowed to say the word share anymore. Share is Facebook language. Repost is now the language of LinkedIn. So we don't share anymore. We repost. Now, Georgina, tell us all about bad boys and bad girls. What do you think, Georgina?
It's interesting. I've been listening to what Liz said and then Simone. It's interesting that Liz sort of brought it up as something that you do in your teenage years. And Simone was talking about honesty, kind of in relationships. And I guess we associate bad with being kind of a rebel, what else? Dishonest, that sort of stuff. But I guess there's the other element of bad boy, where it's kind of perceived bad boy, right? Or bad girl. And I guess one of the things that I know is that generally you attract like with like. We attract the people that, we're reflecting, we're our own perception and our own, I'm sort of going a bit Joe Dispenza here, but we do attract like with like, right? So, and then generally they are their personality, and we are our personality most of our way through life. And yes, we do kind of go into, as you were saying, Ed, you kind of went into, and I think men tend to do that probably too, is that they'll date the bad girl, they'll get that out of their system, and then they'll want to settle down. So it's a different person. But I guess if you haven't actually learnt the lesson, and I'm coming from a more spiritual angle, is that if you haven't learnt the lesson at a younger age or a previous life or whatever it is, you'll repeat it in this life. And whether it is that you are, 15 or you're 40 or you might be a little bit older, and I guess it's part of like, what is it meeting? What's the need that it's meeting in you? Are you meeting something that you need is in variety? Is it, if you're kind of had a conservative upbringing and you're literally busting to get out of the family. I had quite a conservative upbringing, and as soon as I could get out a drink, it was kind of like, not that I went off and was a bad girl, but I kind of, it was party central. So, I guess I would still probably have that sort of notion as kind of, I like the things around cars and motorbikes because my brothers were like that, and I kind of was brought up with that. And that has kind of a bad boy connotation. But every one of those perceived bad boys really is that they're just meeting their needs, right? So they can be nice people underneath.
Ooh, There we go. Georgina, love it. Just incredible. Now, I've got another question. I'm going to start with Dr. Liz on this one. And dating, I'm just going to go to dating for a second. Just going to ask for dating because there's quite a few people watching who are single, right? Be it that they're recently divorced, they're single, they're on the prowl, whatever it is, right? But I'm going to ask a bit of dating advice from these legendary boss ladies because they're all very savvy ladies. So, Dr. Liz, I want to ask you for general dating advice to anyone listening who's single, who's looking for someone lovely. Give us some dating advice, Dr. Liz. What do you think?
Oh, I think it's hilarious that you're asking me for dating advice. Just to be clear, I'm not dating at the moment. However, what I would say from what I have seen is that I think it's really important that you're in a good place before you put yourself out there to attract others, unless you do just want to attract, as Georgina said, we do tend to attract like. So if we're not in a great place ourselves, the people we tend to attract may not be those who are actually good for us. So I think, a little bit of self-love and self-care and actually just spending more time getting to know where you're at and what you enjoy doing. And I like to think about it more in that perspective. And, I guess I like I'm a bit old school. The genuine thing. So all this online. So I live vicariously through some of my friends who are, recently divorced and onto the whole online dating thing. And so, so definitely hear some stories and, definitely there's a lot of interesting things going out in the online dating world. I have not ventured out into that and I don't know that I'm super keen to do that anytime soon. I think it's about just mutual interest, being happy with where you're at. And I think being genuine and authentic. So I think, the whole thing where so for example, from the guys, 6'3", fit, love nature, blah, blah, blah. And then you actually meet them in person and you're kind of like, oh, maybe when you're 18, but come on. So I think it's just better to not try and put up a front or whatever, just be who you are and express about what's really, really important.
Oh.
So, not much. So basically to pin it down, I think it's better to focus on yourself. If you're not quite ready, to date or not feeling in a good place, I think it's better to just, work on yourself before you put yourself out there. That's what I feel.
Oh, that's on point, Dr. Liz. Totally love it. And one of my reactions is, and you got a great share from Amanda Dunn, by the way. Amanda Dunn, who we love. Good, great seeing Amanda Dunn. I think we're attracted to the rebellious behavior of others because their behaviors inside of us that we'd love to let out, but we can't. Absolutely. I suppose it's the whole walk on the wild side concept, don't we? It's all that coming to the surface. And just an interesting comment, I can't help but thinking about this. I remember when I was at one of the high schools I went to, there was a very attractive lady there, not very nice lady, very attractive, but I can't say the word biatch on the LinkedIn Live, of course. But anyway, not a very attractive on the surface, but not a very nice person. Anyway, went back to one of the places I grew up, and I was just there with Lassie, actually, having a fine meal before we had kids. And she was actually the waitress, it turned out, right? And I couldn't even recognize her. She was not, how can I say, didn't have the youthful beauty that she used to. And what I found was because she was ugly within, her outside looks couldn't contain that, if you know what I mean, Dr. Liz.
Well, I guess it's one of those things, not having to just relate, to the external view. And what I will say is we know it's the connection, it's the energy, it's the values of people. But I do also want to put the thing out about, we've got to be a little bit careful of judging, people by their looks and whatever, because, there are some amazing people who look, amazing in the classic beauty thing, but how, incredibly insecure or act out in different ways because of their own lack of self-esteem or whatever else. So, it's interesting, particularly sort of my age, we're reconnecting with a lot of people from childhood and whatever else. And it's funny that, a lot of the silly little teenage girly spats or whatever that you have, and then you reconnect now and you're like, well, what was it? What was it over? So I think got to be a little bit careful of the judging because, a lot of it could just be because of their own insecurities. But I agree. I think you can't just paint over someone who doesn't have a a good heart or whatever else. It's about being a kind person rather than all about me.
Exactly. My thinking was the way the person looks today is actually who they
Reflected
were
there.
really all along. Yeah, it's just a mirror. They turned into what they were feeling and thinking all along. You know, aggression and judgment is what they were all about, and that's what they turned into. So, Dr. Liz, we love you.
Interesting.
And a few shares. Amanda Dunn says, I tried online dating. I did it 2 months. I want to do it again. I'd rather go out and meet people where I can physically see and interact them. That's why we go to meetups. They're awesome. Alessio says, I'm late, but you made it. That's what matters, Alessio. And, Amanda Dunn. I saw a quote recently that happiness is the best makeup. I agree. Let's bounce over to Simone Lord. Simone Lord, tell us all about dating advice. I know you're a mother.
I'm probably not I'm not a good person to talk about dating either. I've been with my husband for 18 years, so since we were 19. So I didn't really have to do a lot of in the dating world, thankfully, because I see what my friends go through and I think, wow, I'm so glad I'm old school of meeting my husband in a nightclub. He bought me a drink. We went on a couple of dates. We made it official. A couple of years later, we got married. A couple of years later, we had kids. So I've got a really nice, just general story for that. But I would like to just echo what Dr. Liz was saying. And it really is about where you are within yourself, to how you can meet other people and what you're sort of putting out there in the universe. And I think if I was to go through it again and I was in that dating scene, I would think of it more. I don't think I could do the online thing, to be honest. Yeah. I don't think I would. I would be more concerned or more thinking about what am I doing in my environment to attract those people. So obviously health and fitness is a big value for me. So going to a gym, being present in that community, doing, park runs or putting yourself in the position where you could meet other people outside of just, your local neighbors or something like that. So yeah, I'd be really thinking about the social situations that I put myself in as opposed to trying to go to a club to meet someone or getting on an app or something like that. And whether that was through work or whether that was just expanding social networks, because to be honest, as we all know, the best people come through referrals. So it's probably someone that knows someone really nice that can lead you to an introduction. So instead of doing the cold calling of swiping right and left, I would be going to my own connections and seeing who I could find within there.
There we go. It sounds like we're running a LinkedIn masterclass. This is great. There we go. But no dating on LinkedIn. There you go. No dating on LinkedIn. We love the terms and conditions of LinkedIn and we follow them to the letter. Now, it's interesting, actually. Oh, we got Erin Myers with us. Hey, Erin, good seeing you, my old friend Erin. We still live nearby. Totally agree with you all. Like attracts like and perception becomes a reflection. That's true. It's funny you say that, actually. I remember years ago, I moved to I had a really cool job in Hobart, which is Tasmania, for those around the world, where Tassie Devil's from Warner Brothers. And I remember I was a bit lonely there. So I tried online dating and I was too good at it. Like, I was like, God. So because I worked in marketing at the time, I knew how to write good messages, right? So I knew. So basically from an online dating point of view, I was like running at a very high conversion. And what would happen was I went from being a guy who was lonely, a guy to having too many dates, right? And it was just crazy. And I think I became a monk after a while. It was crazy. But no, Simone, we love you. But I was too good at online dating. But I agree. The problem I have with online dating, right, putting it out there, is that online dating, and I could be wrong, but my viewpoint of it was you meet great people, but the context of it cheapens it. So it's kind of like if you meet someone over online dating, it kind of gives a weak foundation to start the relationship. Having said that, I know people who've met through online dating gone well, but unfortunately it does tarnish things. That's my possibly incorrect view. Thank you so much. Georgina Orchard, give us some dating advice, please.
Oh, wow, I'm listening to all these views and you're all bringing amazingly valid points. And I love Simone Lord's ideas to actually get out there in your community, because I have experienced online dating. I was married for 23 or in a relationship and married for 23 years. And then I started online dating about a couple of years after getting the divorce. And I did experience, there's people far away that are interested in you, but do you really know that they're interested if you can whether they can hold a conversation, or they might not be your type. I think I went through, and I probably only picked 2 people that I would have actually wanted to connect with. I did meet my partner, who I'm now split up with, but on and he was a nice fellow, bit of a bad boy, but he's you know
Hot and spicy.
hot and spicy. Oh, what kind of
Yeah.
hot and spicy? Anyway, so we do. From what I have learned, because during that time I've also been on that spiritual kind of coach journey and learnt more about myself, is that you really need to, in order to attract the person that you will want to attract, really is that, like, as Dr. Liz said, you need to be at your higher self. And then from what I advise people is that you need to be at a position where that you're not accepting just anything, that you have those boundaries around you, and the person that comes into your life adds to your life, they don't take away, and you become a joint partnership where you're both experiencing each other's worlds and you have respect for each other's world. It's not like, well, I'll only do things with his friends. You've got to bring him into your world, or that person, that partner, into your world, and they be part of your world and you're part of their world, sort of introducing them to elements of your world, whether you've got a family, whether they've got a family, or whether not. It's really important that that you both kind of, it's almost like you think of the circles that are overlapping, and it's this world that overlaps, that you still have your world going on, and then you're not detracting, especially as you get older, because as we all age, we might both, both partners will have families or history and that sort of stuff, or the things that they love doing, and they kind of are doing that because they love doing it. So is when you bring into a partnership, it's also having within that sort of shared zone is shared goals and shared sort of future, about your future outlook, and asking those questions. What's your future outlook? And are you leading down the same path? Can you accept what the other person does and how can you unite within that kind of shared zone?
Oh, brilliant, Georgina. Love it. Love where you go, and incredible. Online dating, that's a crazy thing. Got a few friends here. We've got dating is fun. So just so you know, we're using StreamYard. I can't see all the people, but someone said dating is fun. Tell me who that is. It just says LinkedIn user. StreamYard does. We've got Karen all young with us. Good seeing you. Got Alessia. We've got Shuja. If you've just come in, friends, like, repost, comment. If you're watching on the recording, thank you. Connect with Dr. Liz, Simone, Lord, and Georgina. Amazing ladies, but love all your reactions. Now I want to bounce over to amazing Dr. Liz, and I want to ask the next question of where we're going, Dr. Liz. Are you ready to go, Dr. Liz?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. So, Dr. Liz, what if you meet someone and you get along, but you don't quite feel the chemistry there? So on paper, the person's good for you, but it just doesn't feel right. What are your thoughts on those difficult situations we've all been in?
Yes. And once again, I'm probably, because it's been quite a while since I've been dating. So I'm going back to teenage, early 20 years. And I don't know, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because sometimes it's just a matter of, getting to really know them more. I think some beautiful relationships, romantic relationships, can blossom out of friendships. And I know many happily married couples, that have got beautiful relationships when perhaps there wasn't naturally the actual, like they connected and were good friends and whatever, but perhaps, not the typical chemistry. I think also, that chemistry changes over time as well, doesn't it? So I don't know that it's necessarily a good indicator, the hotness factor or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do agree that there has to be some sort of, genuine connection. And for me, at the end of the day, I think I find people attractive where you have a genuine connection. So whether it be over values, interests, conversations, activities, all that sort of thing, humor. And I think that actually really makes someone attractive. So I don't know. I think give it time, and then if not, it's always good to have a beautiful network of lovely friends and everything else, and never say never. There's all those interesting examples where they've been friends for years, but it's never been quite the right time or whatever, and then suddenly, without warning, it's turned into a romantic relationship. So it's interesting.
And it's funny, protecting identities, because we're all about confidentiality here. We run a lot of meetup groups. Dr. Liz in Brisbane, Simone Georgina in Sydney. We've got meetup groups all over the place. Including the Brisbane group, we've had a lot of people meet at our groups and get together, right? It actually happens a lot, right? Mm-hmm. It's funny, it's kind of what we're all saying before, isn't it? It's sort of like people meet face to face, and if the chemistry there, things kind of happen, don't they? So I was going to ask you, Dr. Liz, online dating, right? Because I know you're a smart lady. Online dating versus face-to-face. We know face-to-face is better, but let's say someone doesn't meet many people. How can they meet more people face-to-face? What are some of your thoughts on that one?
Oh, well, the obvious one is not that I don't know that we're encouraging meetups for romantic. It's all, business and extending your connections. However, I think going back to Simone's point, referral is often the best way of doing things, and like attracts like. And if you're in a beautiful community of business, active, healthy people, that might be one way. I think I'm actually going to touch back on some of the points we've already shared, but I think it's about just putting yourself out there in different activities. So whether it be fitness, nature, travel, all those things that really are important to you and you want to do anyway. I will share, as I said, I live vicariously through some of my friends who are online dating, and some are actually having a ball. So, a couple, to be honest, I don't think are looking for a long-term relationship, but certainly having a lot of fun. So, it's horses for courses, I guess. For me, I think I know I'd prefer to just meet in person. And like I say, values and shared activities and things are much more important.
One of my old wonderful friends, a lady friend from the army, she always used to joke. She always believed in, she always loved long-term 8-hour relationships. That's what she was into. Long-term 8-hour relationships.
Well, on that note,
breakfast
maybe
included.
Yeah. Jeez. But even international, I think it's interesting now that everything's opening up again. And I do have quite a few colleagues that travel quite a lot for work. And it seems to be working quite well. They've got a good relationship some distance away. So they've got the nice online connection, but they only see each other, every couple of months or whatever. Maybe that's the way to go as well.
There you go. Dr. Liz, we love you. Just incredible. Awesome. And Renee, thank you, Renee. Renee made some good comments. Dating is fun. There's needed chemistry, and friendship's not working for me. I understand. And we've got Erin Myers with us. We love you, Erin. Love referrals in friendship and business. Could be on something, guys. Yeah, a lot of people said we should start a dating network. We'll come back to that, which is very cool. So, Simone Lord, give us your thoughts on the whole chemistry, hot and spicy topic. Please let us know. And feel free to live vicariously through your friends to help add to your answer.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe in the whole love at first sight, but I think there has to be an attraction. There has to be something there. And I think sometimes people can be too quick to judge too early in the relationship. And, there might be one date or something and then just go, oh, no, that person wasn't for me. However, if you didn't have the best conversations, or perhaps someone's really nervous and not actually just being their true and authentic self in that first relationship, I think these days we're so quick just to move on to the next thing without really investigating, is this an opportunity that is worthwhile pursuing? So I would encourage people to kind of understand what they are looking for in a relationship, what really makes you happy in a relationship. Do you want someone who's really career driven, or has a great sense of humor? Really understanding what you're looking for in a partner will help you have a better conversation when you meet someone, to then go, is this person a potential serious relationship for me. And it doesn't always have to be serious. Like we've talked about before, love is in so many different contexts. Not everyone wants a long-term relationship, and that's perfectly okay. So go and find that hot and spicy person that you enjoy spending time with. And I feel as long as they're aware that that is what you are looking for and they agree to that, then there's no harm done in the lovely 8-hour connections.
Yeah, there you go. And she was one of my classic friends. Her name was Remy, actually, and she was hilarious. She was actually, I hope she's all right too. She was actually a medic that I was friends with. We never got together, but she had a lot of long-term 8-hour relationships. I got to be careful how I say this on a LinkedIn Live, and she'd always tell me about it. And I'd always ask all the detailed questions, which obviously I can't talk about here. So we were besties. She joked I was her straight gay friend, so it's quite funny. So Remy, if you are listening, hope you're doing great. She's an amazing lady. There you go. Some of those. No, I love it. The other thing I was going to say to you as well, Simone Lord, because you're pretty in touch with us, right? And I'm going to come back to this later. Relationships at work. What do you think about that topic, Simone Lord?
Well, it's an interesting dynamic it depends on whether you can put the different hats on who you are in what situation. So very different to if you're running your own business and then your partner is helping you out in the work context. That can be interesting to manage, which is where a lot of people start as small business owners. I know that I've definitely invested in my husband doing a lot of IT stuff for me because that's just not an area I really care for. And I think in bigger corporate organizations, it can be a little bit easier to have relationships in that context, especially if you're not mixing in the same department or something like that, if you sort of have a more diverse working arrangement. But there's nothing worse than that situation where you know someone's getting away with something or they're getting extra, I don't know, commission or something because it's the boss's squeeze or partner or someone, you know, that can put a sour taste in the team's mouth.
There we go. We've all seen that, the boss's squeeze, like the character, male, female, gay, straight, whatever, but one character who mysteriously gets promoted for no explainable reason. Then you find out it's like, it's the after hour overtime that's getting that. There you go. After hour overtime. There you go. It's funny running this event over LinkedIn Live. You got to say things in a PG sort of manner. It's fascinating. There you go. We should go on TV after this, I think. So there we go. By the way, any producers from the top television stations? Ed's definitely looking for our TV work. So Simone, we love you. Round of applause to Simone. We love you, Simone. There we go. And we've got Renee talking about online dating. It sort of gives away whether people are for casual long-term relationships. And Renee also says, many guys, unfortunately, online are looking for only one thing, which is tragic. I think us guys should dig a little bit deeper, look that little bit closer and get more authentic. Speaking about authentic, I want to hear about Georgina, what she thinks about hot and spicy and chemistry and all that. Georgina, go.
Chemistry. Oh, interesting. I think probably the best relationships would happen over time because they come from different conversations and they build up that kind of because I don't think you get to know someone within one meeting. You know, if there is kind of a connection, you might say, oh, let's have another date and just see where it goes. And sometimes there's that, but it might be the discussion that you've had before. You know, one of the things that I used to say when I was married, it doesn't just happen in the bedroom, right? And I want to keep this PC, is that it's kind of the conversation that goes on, you know, whether there's a bit of flirting or there's a little bit of, there's that sort of I think it's all about a little bit of entertainment and giving a little bit of what that person likes to hear. For example, languages of love. It's understanding and listening to that person about, and I guess a conversation is around listening, isn't it? So the chemistry comes from, are you listening to things that you want to hear, but also using your intuition? Is this person, this person feel like that we've got the right chemistry or the right kinesthetic? Are we on the sort of same level? And I think with online dating, it's interesting that both you and I have experienced that, Ed, is that, and the other ladies have, Dr. Liz and Simone have had friends within there, but it's interesting. If it's a genuine connection, generally they'll want to meet you straight away. They'll say, let's go for coffee and actually see if we have a connection, because generally it's been genuine. And then you can, with your own intuition, it's kind of listening to that and saying, well, is that person being genuine, and having it, and just listening to your own reaction to it, and not being urgent to, make a connection on LinkedIn. It's just, you're putting yourself out there because really you're in your good place before you've got there. So having been in a few relationships, or fewer relationships over time, it's definitely, there's got to be a little bit of chemistry there to continue it, a little bit of spice to rev it up. But then if you're meeting someone in a social setting, you're going to get to know them over time. You're not going to just, some people do, and they, fall in love straight away, and, they've met their soulmate. That's what they feel, and they're both on that sort of plane. But I think, if you're meeting, I'm going back to what Simone was saying, meeting someone, doing the things that you love in your kind of sort of local or not so local sort of area is, and then you get to know them over time.
Oh, brilliant. Georgina, love it. Now, I love it. Now, we've been talking about getting over time. I'm going to go extra hot and spicy again. Probably the background's got me thinking about this, but travel flings, right? Now, again, I'm a happily married man these days, but I used to travel a lot. You meet all sorts of characters when you travel. So now, whether Dr. Liz, Simone, Lord, and Georgina has had travel flings, I'm not here to ask about that, albeit we wouldn't mind hearing, nudge, nudge. But what I was just going to say, though, I was going to ask about travel flings, because everyone I've spoken to has had some kind of travel fling at some point, right? And they just say how deep and intense it was. Someone asked about travel flings, be it yourself or vicariously through someone else. Dr. Liz, tell us all about travel flings. How do they work, and why are they so popular?
Well, having just come back from South Korea, now I will state, this was a family trip and not a travel fling.
Sorry about that.
But what it reminded me, I think we're often in a more conducive environment or state to be open to these little travel flings, because we're excited, we're everything's new. You take it all in. And I was reflecting. So it was great. We were away for almost 3 weeks. Loved it. If you haven't been to South Korea, put it on your list. Fantastic. And beautiful culture, beautiful people, beautiful food. But it also gave me time to reflect what I love about Australia. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice? It's because I think we get very comfortable with things that are always, around us, and we don't fully appreciate it. So I think one of the big things about travel fling is we're just in a different mode. Like, we're excited, we're ready to meet people, and, it doesn't hurt if you're in an exotic location with, the alcohol and whatever else flowing. But yes, I've known, once again, all through friends, of course,
Totally
I will say, even leading to marriages. So they can become long-term. Yeah.
It's funny because, again, in the meetup community, like talking meetup for the moment, not so much LinkedIn, but I meet a lot of people. And in our meetups, talking like our more face-to-face meetups in Australia, I'll meet people who they're traveling and they met someone in Canada or America and they brought them back here. So some of those travel things, a lot of them actually turn into like full-on marriages and everything. Actually,
well, can we say, if you can actually survive traveling with someone, that's a pretty good test, for a long-term relationship.
There you go. One of my old friends, I can't tell you who it is because he's really cool, but he's a very handsome young man. And he used to work in Kentucky. So he used to be one of the... I've got to watch what I say here because I love having a LinkedIn account. But what it is that he used to work in Kentucky, and he said that was just... He says, so Kentucky's can last several weeks. There's different packages, different locations. But basically, with Kentucky, he said generally within 2 hours, people are already hooking up. Like you said, it's just when people are in that environment, it's just the first night people are already doing stuff. So there you go, Dr. Liz. Amazing what you said. So there we go. So a little hint, if you want to really meet someone, go on Kentucky. There you go. Dr. Liz, we love you. Round of applause. Thank you, Dr. Liz. Which is cool. Simone Lord, tell us all about travel flings. What are your thoughts on travel flings, Simone Lord?
Look, I don't really have any experience on this topic, but I will take a different angle to it completely. That as of the last 12 months, I've started to travel more within my role now, being back in corporate and traveling across to Adelaide and down to Melbourne and things like that. A travel fling for me would actually be investing into myself and having some time. I have 3 young children, a very busy household. So when I travel, it's time to reconnect to me and to be on my own, and for my husband to stay and take charge of the fort here at home. And I feel like that is really such a powerful thing for our relationship, because he does shift work. He works a lot of hours. So I'm often doing what I consider the single mum thing. So to switch the roles and for him to have to handle the household on his own, it gives us both an appreciation of what we need to do in our relationship, both for us to continue to communicate while we're diversifying our careers, and they're both very important careers to us, and how our children perceive that as well. How we connect and how we communicate, our children are watching us all the time. So it's really important for us to demonstrate in the way that we hope that they will grow up and evolve into young men as well. So yeah, in terms of a travel fling, for me, it's a personal reflection time to get back to myself and not be the mum, just to be the woman and just to take back into myself. And yeah, for my husband to experience what it's like in the household without me doing all the little bits and pieces that he often just thinks happen. So it's an appreciation and a love on a different level in that context.
Oh, I agree with you, and I love how you put it, because that's my idea of a travel fling. Is I love spending time on my own. So when I travel, I mean, do my work, catch up with everyone, but then I actually love being on my own. And I agree with you. To me, I definitely sound like a middle-aged man here. My idea of a travel fling is just sitting there on my own playing on LinkedIn. There you go. That's my idea of a travel fling. There you go.
And it is a nice reset. Then when you come back into that family dynamic, you just have so much to talk about, and you just feel to re-energized in a lot of different ways. I think it's very healthy for your relationship to have that.
And that brings me to another point as well, is when we do have partners, and I've been guilty of this and I'm wrong, is that you know how you spend too much time with your partner and it becomes unhealthy. What are your thoughts on that one while I've got you on the topic, Simone? You're too much with someone and it gets a bit.
I can totally resonate when my husband takes his block of annual leave of having 4 or 5 weeks off, and I'll be like, go back to work. Yeah. It's too much. It's just, it all gets on top of you a little bit too much. But I think having your own space and having your own thing. So, having all of those joint things that you enjoy doing together, but having your own independence and your own set of things that you value and enjoy doing is really healthy.
Simone, we love you. Round of applause to Simone. Just amazing. Let's bounce over to Georgina. Georgina, travel flings. What are your thoughts on that one, Georgina?
I love the pivot, Simone and Ed. I just think that is awesome, because it is really important to have time on your own to lift yourself up and to do the things that you might like doing that aren't with your partner. It's really important. For example, I love horse riding and painting and different things off. And different things like that. But if I can go off and do that sort of thing, and I remember when my kids were young and I'd have travel like you, Simone, I would go off and it was just to relax the whole body and just resettle, and go to somewhere that's totally different and do the things that light you up and fulfill you. I think that's really important. On the other note, I do see a lot of travel flings, and I think, yes, what Dr. Liz was saying is that, when you're in that, you're all both excited, there's a high vibration within you, so you're attracting lots of people to you because you might have a huge smile on your face, you're going somewhere, it's exciting, you're on an adventure. I've been on not a Kentucky tour, but a different type of tour, and there were lots of travel flings on that particular tour. So yeah,
Ooh.
and it was, every city, some people actually went out there and had another travel fling, depending on which city and who they met.
So it's travel fling upon travel fling, influenced by city with more travel flings. There you go.
That's right. Yeah, it's kind of exciting times.
Man, now that is hot. I think that deserves its own LinkedIn Live, Georgina's travel tour. You should start your own tour company, Georgina. That'd be awesome. You'd make a lot of money. There we go. Georgina, round of applause. We love you, Georgina. Now, we are coming towards the end of the Valentine's Day Boss Lady Summit, the hot and spicy edition. Just a few reactions. We've got Renee with us. We love you, Renee. Amanda Dunn's amazing. Karen thinks this sounds a bit like Oprah. It does, actually. I think Oprah is much more nicer. If it was more Dr. Phil, it's like, you got to be honest to yourself. You got to stop lying. We're not like that today, which is good. We've got Yasmin with us. Yasmin says, actually, good point before, everyone needs his or her own space, but of course, it'll be activities to do together that make relationships stronger. We love you, Yasmin. All right, so what we're going to do is we're coming towards the end of the Boss Lady Summit, so we're going to go to closing thoughts. Now, as a recap, today we've spoken about Valentine's Day relationships. It's the hot and spicy edition, but in a way that we keep our LinkedIn accounts. Dr. Liz, I want to hear a closing monologue from you. So we're going to hear closing monologues from everyone. And then we're also going to hear about what they do for a living as well. So, Dr. Liz, can we get a closing monologue on your thoughts on Valentine's Day from you?
Absolutely. I love this discussion on love. And, we've spoken a little bit of time, romantic love, but how it is all encompassing, that it's really important to make sure that we're energized, know our values, know ourselves, and in a really good place to ensure that when we are looking for a romantic partner, that we're attracting someone of similar level and similar values. So we haven't even mentioned much about Valentine's Day, which I think is actually probably pretty good because I don't like the thought of just having one special day. Particularly, I work with a lot of people with cancer. And I tell you, when you work with people with chronic disease, every day is special. Life is special. So I'm a big believer in not putting things off. We actually need to really celebrate it today. And I want to tell you a funny little thing that I'm planning to get myself for Valentine's Day is not the typical whatever, perfume or jewelry or what have you, but I've decided I want a bicycle, like, a good old-fashioned bicycle. And I live along all the beautiful waterways. And I thought I just want to get out there, spend a bit of time and just go cycling and be near the water. So, yes, my Valentine's Day gift to myself this year is going to be a bicycle. I help get out there, lots of nice fish and fresh and lots of healthy food. I think I might go to some food markets, meet some of the local farmers. And, so closing thoughts, love's important for ourselves, but all-encompassing, and that it shouldn't just be on special days. We need to actually celebrate every single day.
Oh, it's funny you say that because subconsciously I thought that. That's why I barely talked about it. To me, Valentine's Day is a symbol of a concept that should last all the time. So well said. And as a keynote too, I spent a lot of time in Canberra, and Canberra is the ultimate place of cycling. Everyone's got a bike there. They've got custom-made bike tracks. So there you go, the trivia for you. And Dr. Liz, also to tell us very quickly what you do for a living. And
what do I do? I wear many hats. So very, very quickly, by background, I'm a dietitian, a nutritionist, researcher, and really I just love to help people being happy, healthy, look after their well-being through good nutrition. But my health mantra is mindset, menu, movement. And I particularly focus generally those 35, 40 plus who have success in one area of their lives, but it's a bit out of balance. And they know that they actually need to look within and focus a little bit more on their well-being to take them to the next level and make sure they've got excellent balance overall in their life. And it's good fun. Good fun.
Oh, love it. Dr. Liz, we love you. Round of applause. And it's Dr. Liz Isering. So everyone connect with Dr. Liz on LinkedIn. We love you, Dr. Liz. There we go. Simone Lord, can we get a closing monologue from you about Valentine's Day?
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that love evolves over time, and especially in the different phases you go through. So having that love in the beginning, which is often a lot about passion and all of those sorts of things. And when you have children in the mix, that changes your love completely. Your self-love, especially for women, how your body changes after having children, and how you feel in a relationship around that. And love when you are a mother and when you have a child is next level, and very, very hard to explain what that's like and how that changes the dynamics with your partner when you have children and your love grows and changes. I don't particularly celebrate Valentine's Day. I never really have, but I always generally make a special dessert or something, which is for the family as well. So yeah, they're my really closing thoughts, is be okay with love changing and evolving. And it's something that my grandmother told me about as well when my grandfather was getting quite sick and he had Parkinson's and things in the end. She said, you know, it's just you evolve through the levels of someone who'd been married for over 50 years. It changes, and that's okay. And communication really is the key fundamental thing to keeping your relationship strong and having that love throughout it.
Well said, Simone. Simone, tell us what you do for a living and how you help people win big, Simone Lord.
Yeah, and I think all of us on this call wear many hats of what we do. I am passionate about health and fitness. I'm a personal trainer and a certified boxing coach. That's what I sort of do in my local community and have a few online clients.
Are you a boxing coach, are you?
Yeah.
You never told. That's awesome. You never told me that, Simone.
Yes. So boxing coach.
There you go. This lady's pretty cool. I like it.
I support a mental health organisation called Fortum Australia, who look after the well-being of frontline workers and their families. My husband is a police officer and has been for 14 years. So really important to support our frontline workers. And I also work for a company called Business Growth Mindset. We help business owners grow and scale their businesses through implementing the foundational pillars of business so you can get the strategy you need to grow and scale. So lots of different things that happen for me. Yeah, and I love to share it all. So if you look on my LinkedIn, you'll find all of those different facets about me on there.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And also too, just want to say, yes, Simone is a police wife. Husband's a very good looking cop. So just want to say thank you for you and his service. You know, appreciate every time he goes out, he risks his life. So, and you carry the fort. So just bravo to you, Simone. We appreciate you. There we go. So love our veterans and love our police. And Georgina, closing monologue from awesome you, Georgina. Tell us what you're thinking.
Yes, there's all sorts of love, isn't there? There's partner love, there's self-love. And I think the first thing really is self-love. Before you can love someone else, you need to love yourself in order to bring that out from your heart and connecting with your heart center. Valentine's Day, I agree with Dr. Liz and Simone, it's not just something that you do once a year. It's really important to celebrate life every day. We're so caught up in, as soon as I've done this, I'm going to. And I think it's really important just to enjoy what you're doing and enjoy the journey. I remember when I had my first baby, is that and a love as a mother is just like nothing else. I remember the doctor, he said, just don't wait until the baby's born and before you kind of start, just enjoy the journey of where you're at. And even if you're beginning your relationship, it's to enjoy the journey within that. And there is a journey. Like Simone was saying that her grandmother has imparted that wisdom. And it's just so important to listen to that and enjoy the journey as you go along, because it is a journey of we all change and we all grow at different stages, and there's a lot of respect that we need to I wouldn't say we need to, but there's an element of respect that we need to respect each other's journey. I think that's really important.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, Georgina. And very quickly, tell us what you do, please. How do you help people, Georgina? And thank you again.
I help business owners putting the resources in place. So, for example, implementation of systems, hiring staff, working out what processes and systems that they need in order to get where they want to go in their business. I help business owners create the vision and mission and then the roadmap in order to get there, and putting all the resources in place to help them on that journey, on that path.
Oh my God, Georgina, brilliant. Round of applause. And we are finished, everyone. Thank you for watching Boss Ladies February. Stay tuned for Boss Ladies March. It'll be the first Sunday of the month. And also to my legendary friends, connect with Dr. Liz, Simone, Lord and Georgina Orchard, and make sure you smash that like, repost and comment. Friends, thank you so much. Appreciate you winners. Let's give it up. Love your work, everyone. Have an amazing day. Bye all.
Lovely to see you.